view. So they obviously they don't go around telling people we are conducting a horrific experiment, which is like they can be very useful in enslaving humanity and enslaving people socially, economically, and many other ways. They go around telling people these people, these guinea pigs, are bad and dangerous people, and the only way to contain them is for you, general public, to help us to subject them to constant harassment, because otherwise they would be doing a horrific thing and have. If you don't, that's so they hide in them. But however, so having said that, so they rely on people in your stupidity, and they rely on hiding these activities in plain view. Is all to contain us. We are bad and dangerous. All to contain us. It's not a horrific experiment to enslave humanity. Yeah. But having said that, that's it. The going outside the Ecuadorian embassy, try to piggyback this our issue on the Julian Assange issue, which is something which is billions of people in the world are aware of. That I think touch a raw nerve. That they didn't like that very much. So after that, I get all the payback, and a lot of people start to disappear. And then I myself, because there is, we're all human, and there is so much you can. You can say, oh, there are a lot of things happening. They're bound to affect you. All this stuff happening around you, including a lot of things in my personal life, in housing, and many other things. And so these things are bound to affect you. So it did affect me, and then I did something which was actually probably a mistake, which fewer and fewer people were coming to this House of Parliament protest. And then, so I kept going. That this thing was happening. The Julian Assange thing was happening up to 2017, beginning of October, mid of October. The third vigil was mid of October, I believe. And then after that, things started really to go wrong in terms of people disappearing and fewer people coming to protests and meetings. And I tried to keep going for quite a number of months, organizing events, advertising them, until I think there was a lot of nasty thing happening in my life all around. I mean, and which I don't want to go into all that, but I say I found myself under attack by 100 different directions, including well, never mind. But so I found myself under attack from 100 different directions, and then so I kept going organizing things until possibly the end of February 2018, and then I just gave up. Not give up in the sense that I completely abandoned activism. I gave up in the sense that I kind of start to limit the scope of my activity. So I start doing things on my own. And then, so on a ordinary week, you may find yourself going to Central London maybe once or twice, maybe a couple of times in front of Parliament, maybe once in front of Parliament, once in front of BBC Broadcasting House, protesting on my own. But that went on for even occasionally. I was trying to get people involved, from time to time, but it was never terribly successful as before. And then we had this target individual day on the 29th of August. That's something I really wanted not to. I really wanted to do my best, And then so anyway, in Timor we got 9 people in High Park. Then after a while we really lost 3 people. We managed to get 6 people in front of BBC Broadcasting House, which was the original plan, to protest in front of BBC Broadcasting House. So yeah, occasionally I was try, but by and large I resigned myself to the thing on my own, basically, which I think it was a terrible mistake, because Then recently, in the last couple of months, I started again organized meeting, and then after organizing a few meetings, which were attended by a few people, I started to see more clearly. I realized that I made a terrible mistake in stopping to organize, to try to involve people, organize this House of Parliament protest, because I think they've been doing a lot. Over 2016, 2017 to raise our profile. I think it was something really worth pursuing, and I think I allow myself to be like in a way, you know, influenced by the fact that at this point in time, kind of February 2017, I wasn't really finding myself under attack from under different directions. So I allow that to influence my judgment in a way. So I realize now that there is a lot of value in this kind of regular weekly House of Parliament protest. It does a lot to raise our profile, and I should have carry on basically. Even if I go 2 3 weeks without no one joining me, maybe the next week maybe 2 or 3 people were going to join me. So I should have been persevering. I didn't. Still maybe still carry on doing things on my own, but in a way, that there was something I knew that the moment I started doing things on my own, I thought that that was a bit of like a slippery slope, and then you may end up easily then stopping doing stopping all kind of activism anyway. So which I didn't, because I carry on doing things on my own, and there's all the video on Facebook everywhere. But I think it was an error judgment induced by the fact that at the time, as I said, I was feeling like I was really under attack from under different directions, and a lot of nasty stuff, and people disappearing. But I'm now, so now in a way I have the perspective. I have the general view of the whole. I have the experience of the eyes, the experience of the laws, and yeah, and now I think I know what I want to do, which is carry on with this House of Parliament protest vigils, and even tomorrow there should be a few people actually, because I spoke with people over the phone. But even if in the future I were to find myself for 2 3 weeks out there on my own, I will carry on, and maybe the next week maybe I'm going to get 3 or 4 or 5 people. So I mean that's the right attitude. But I allow myself to be influenced by a lot of things going wrong in my life, and being under attack from every direction, and that was quite unfortunate, because I've probably been wasting months, because then the more you become defensive in what you do, like instead of organizing a meeting, like you start doing things on your own or something. So the more you become defensive, the more you limit the scope of your ambition and the scope of your objective. Actually, instead of making life easier for yourself, or to make easier to do what you are trying to do, is actually you make things more difficult for yourself. I mean, because when I was doing things on my own, it was always a kind of element of self-doubt. I mean, what I'm doing, really doing things on my own. So I mean, so the more you become defensive in what you do, the more you limit the scope of your ambition and the scope of your objective, the more actually then you find difficult vis-a-vis of yourself to justify what you're doing, to make any sense of what you're doing. Like you start doing things on your own, and you start wondering, does this make any sense, doing things on my own or something? So and now, but I get at least some in the last couple of months, I get at least some level of clarity in understanding what I really want to do, which is going back to doing this protest outside the House of Parliament, which is I don't think that is going to make me particularly popular. And there is a way, the risk of, without wanting to be melodramatic, there's always a risk one day, all of a sudden you get some nasty surprise, which it's already been happening many times to me in my life. So all of a sudden, out of the blue, something happened, which so that's what that's the score, basically. You carry on doing stuff, and then that there is always a risk that this thing may happen all of a sudden around you, and so without wanting to be melodramatic, that is the way the danger. Obviously, if you carry on doing this kind of stuff, obviously the likelihood of having this kind of nasty surprises at some point from indifferent is increasing, obviously. So I don't think that is going to make me particularly safer to carry on in this fashion, but. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to carry on. Also, I understand now, because in the past I was trying to do different things, and I understand how important to focus really on the House of Parliament. Tomorrow should be a few people there, and in the future, even if I had to spend 2 or 3 weeks on my own, I understand now, because it is also a question of understanding what is need to be done. Before you can do something, you need to understand. You have some clarity on in your objectives. So I think tomorrow there should be a few people there. If in the future I'm going to spend 2 or 3 weeks on my own there, I don't mind. I'm going to keep carry on, and then I'm sure at some point some people are going to join me anyway. So yeah, so that's about promoting, encouraging people to this country. I'm sure in this country there is, and I mean, I don't want to single out this country. I mean, in the United States, in other European countries, but possibly particularly in this country, there is a lot of targeted individual. In the US, I believe there is even more targeted individuals, but a lot more. But in this country, compared to the density of population, I think there is. I think it's probably London. You may argue, with it may be possibly the target individual capital of the world. But then, it's. It seems that it's difficult everywhere, because as far as I know, in Poland they seem to be having a lot of events, well attended one, but I believe in France and Germany also they'll be struggling to get anything going and stuff. So I mean, in the United States obviously there is a lot of thing going. But London is a very large city, and I'm sure there is a very large number of target individuals, and quite a number of target individuals who understand what is going on, because you may be targeting, unless you're targeting in a very intensive, aggressive, and protracted way, you probably don't. You're as likely as not to have a clue what's happening to you. You know something's wrong, you don't know what is wrong. So but I'm sure in London there is quite a lot of target individual people who have some pretty good idea what's happening to them, but it seems it's quite difficult to get people involved, or sometimes people. Let's be honest. If you're a target individual, you are probably, because of what has been done to you, probably also fairly, damaged. Not in the sense that there's something wrong with you, but if you like, if you pick up a hammer, keep hammering someone on the head, after a while you keep having some effect. So I mean, not in the sense that there is anything wrong with targeting individual, but being subjected to this, this kind of at the receiving end of this kind of activities for years and years. So obviously, one part of it is that a lot of target individual and are quite very damaged. Not in the sense that there is anything wrong with them or with their mental health, but as I say, if you pick a hammer and keep hammering someone on the head, after a while you keep having some sort of effect, on the person. So So yeah, so it's quite unfortunate, but let's try to be optimistic. And this event, I'm pretty sure in the future, if I'm going to remain healthy and alive, I'm very much intent to be consistent in the future, to keep organize this event every week outside Parliament. So hopefully we are going to gather some momentum. And so yeah, so I would encourage anyone watching this video, with someone living in London, to come along tomorrow. So uh, yeah, I mean, it was we have a lot of protest in the past, and on one occasion, quite also a very successful one in February 2017. We had 25 people in front of BBC Broadcasting House, including a number of people coming from the continent. And on a couple of occasions in front of Parliament, we had up to 15 people. To be honest with you, usually it was more like 2, 3, 4, 5 people, but on a couple of occasions we had up to 15 people. So well, on TI International TI Day, in tomorrow we managed to gather 9 people in iPark. But then by the time we get to BBC, we already lost 3 people. The target individual being target individual, like, I mean, like, I only remember what John Allman told me once. It's like about getting target individual to do something together. Say like, it's like herding cats. Like, when there's some problem in organizing thing and getting people involved. I remember what Norman told me, like, it's like herding cats, but it's not targeting individual faults. I mean, we go through stuff which would probably, most of the time we go through it probably would kill weaker people or something. So yeah, we are survivors. And yeah, so anyway, as I say, I would encourage everyone to come tomorrow and to join us. I mean, it's between, so I deliberately organizing in such a way, being quite short event, between 2 and 3:30 in the afternoon, because I know that a lot of target individuals, they never done any kind of activism in their entire life. So activism is something quite unfamiliar. So to encourage people to come along, as I say, like, pretty short, not too heavy, not heavy, between 2 and 3:30. People can come anytime they want. At the end, we always try to, in the past, we obey almost every single occasion that any number of people then getting together, go to a cafe to get a coffee and a chat, and sometimes even for hours. So sometimes maybe for half an hour. Sometimes people were actually chatting for hours and hours. Sometimes it was only half an hour to get some food. So yeah, so I mean, if people like also they're more interested in like meeting or socializing with other target individuals, that is happening also, because in the past almost every single time I can remember we had any kind of protest, and after that almost every single time we spent some time, maybe not everyone, but most of the people decide to relocate to a cafe, have some coffee, maybe some snack or food, or chat. So if that's and also people are welcome to come anytime they want. If they, instead of coming through at 2 o'clock, they come at 3 o'clock only for half an hour. That's perfectly fine. I mean, if people come towards the end because they're more interested in chatting with fellow target individuals, that is perfectly fine too. Every time I come down to Parliament Square, I bring a lot of stuff into my placard, the literature. So people don't have to worry about bringing their own literature or their own placard. On the other hand, if there is some part of the target they more focus on or concerned about, if they want to like just pick up a piece of cardboard and a felt pen and make their own placard, which is very easy to do, they're totally welcome. to write whatever they want. I mean, within reason and within reason for term of safety and not causing trouble. But they totally welcome to write their concern, whatever they want, make their own card, print their own literature. So that's totally welcome. Or can use mine equally. So that's about tomorrow. Yeah, and then. There's another thing happening on Friday, which I was actually, I may try to find out a couple of things now about that, but if I manage to, but yeah, try to, see if I can find, yeah. There is another thing happening on Friday, so I don't want to be like silly, I organize a lot of stuff, but then no one is coming, or it overwhelm people with, but because there was this thing which was really interesting, happening on Friday. There is these people called Big Brother Watch. And they have a little office just, it's very close to the House of Parliament, also in one of these little side street down Millibank. And they call it Big Brother Watch. They are concerned about all kinds of issues relating to civil liberties and privacy, or the violation of privacy, the abuse of privacy, and I think whilst they're talking to you, something I would like to find out, because basically they are concerned about several privacy, civil liberties. At the moment, they're quite focused, concerned about is what the Metropolitan Police is doing, which is do a number of experiments. At the moment, apparently they're only experimenting, so apparently this technology is not, as far as we have been told anyway, it's not really fully fledged and stuff. And the Metropolitan Police is currently experimenting with facial recognition software and facial recognition CCTV cameras. So apparently what they do, every few weeks they choose a venue, like say a sporting event, which I think what they did a few weeks ago, at around sporting event at Wembley Stadium, and they experiment for a full day, for a few hours, with facial recognition to see because with targeting individual should know very well every time to develop, like, to develop any of these diabolic technologies. I mean, you need to test them. If you're unable to test them, there is no technology. So what they're doing, they go to some event or something, and they experiment with facial recognition. 6 weeks ago, they experiment around Wembley Stadium, if I remember correctly, and they apparently it was a bit of a fiasco, because they identified, they have this huge database, which I'm going to talk about it in a second, and they identify maybe some 20 people which are like wanted criminal or something, and then they turn out to be, every single one of them, I think it was the wrong person. So they end up hustling quite a number of innocent people. So that was not exactly a success. And then they apparently have been spending, so far, as far as we know at least, £200,000 on this kind of experiments. And, you may say, but there is also the fact that every week they're closing down a new fire station and new hospitals. I don't know the number, but it's quite a respectable number every week. They're closing down in number. I don't know if it's the exact number, but they're closing down hospital and a number of hospital fire stations every week in this country. So they've been spending, or you say, squandering £200,000 on these experiments. So apparently this camera, in theory, if they were to work properly, they're able to scan 300 faces per second. Yeah? 300 faces per second. So apparently they going by what they're telling us, they're not working yet, they're not functioning properly yet, but the potential for this camera if they all these cameras targeted on a crowd to identify 300 individual faces per second. Yeah. And the other thing, though, that is a lot more interesting is the fact that they have on record 20 million. In this country, like, let's say the population is a little in excess of 60 million people. So now in this country, they have on file, on record, the faces, the data, the biometrics of 20 million people. So apparently, I would suggest totally legally, they've been collecting biometric data on 20 million people, which can be used for basically their picture, people picture. They can use Facebook and they can use a lot of other social networks. So all of this is configured as some sort of watch list. So apparently, so it's not just that they've been hoarding up picture of people, 20 million people. There is always a connection in. These people are actually people which are on different kind of watch lists, either criminal or immigration or political activists. I suspect most of them are political activists. Just people. Once they went to a peaceful protest, law-abiding protest against fracking, and there you go. They get your smile. You are on record, right? So I suspect that most of these, even is totally legal. It's totally even in terms of the legislation we still have in this country, all these activities are fairly legal. Like and now they also, that's quite important, interesting. Now they're hoarding up people DNA. They're becoming obsessed with. They're obsessed with hoarding up people biometrics. Anyway, you say looking at the larger picture, those facial pictures and DNA, and now they seem to be quite obsessed about collecting people DNA. So it seems that they found any possible excuse to collect people DNA with someone is involved in any kind of being a suspect or in any kind of crime or something. They collect their DNA. But there is also, I think, in the legislation, there is a part of the legislation, a stipulation whereby if they collect the DNA of someone which may be a suspect in the investigation or something, if the person, and most of the people that get cleared afterward, right? Because there is a lot of people, there is a crime, there is a lot of suspects, most of them get cleared completely in a short while. But what they do actually illegally, they hold on to the DNA, they're holding it up. So instead, a lot of people may be a suspect in an investigation of a given crime, and they collect their DNA, and then after that, it turns out that most of them are totally innocent. They illegally they are hoarding up their DNA, so they're building up a huge DNA database. It's probably even more sinister, I think, that actually the facial recognition database. So they're hoarding up people biometrics, and they come to the iris and all the rest of it. So these people, I think I am digressing. I am digressing, but I am digressing about something which is fairly important, to us, to everyone. So, but going back to, I'm digressing maybe too much. People know me, they know I digress a lot. But going back to the thing, so the Big Brother watch, they apparently the Metropolitan Police at the end of this week, on Thursday and Friday, they're organizing there's some other events, or a location in London, or a central location, that they plan to do another experiment with installing their camera using the facial recognition software for 2 full days, and so Big Brother Watch would like to go there to leaflet, to make people aware of what, because people don't know, they use as guinea pigs, but they don't know that they're being used as guinea pigs. So the plan of Big Brother Watch is, the thing is that we don't know yet the location, because I think the Metropolitan Police is going to release the location, but just only at the last moment. so which may be tomorrow night or something. And so actually I would like to have a look at Big Brother watch their Twitter account, because what they're saying that they're going to as soon as they get this information where the location of the experiment, they're going to let people know. So the way to know is to go to their Twitter account, which is something I'm doing now. So there is a pin post there. Scroll down. So there's quite a lot of interesting information, but nothing, no information about the location of this experiment just yet. Oh, okay, that's something. Join our demo against police live facial recognition, Thursday and Friday. Don't know if they have the location yet. The previous one, I think it was at Wembley Stadium. Let's have a look. If I follow this link and see if we can find the location. Thursday, Friday, all day events. We will be there to demonstrate against its use. Join us next week to demonstrate, support our legal action against facial recognition. Where is the demonstration? Yeah. Somewhere in London. Police won't say the area until the day before, which is tomorrow, Wednesday. We won't know exactly where until today. So tomorrow everything will be released and will be revealed. Sorry. Keep an eye out here. We will post details as and when we are going to get them. So, yes. So let's get back. Okay, so I don't want to become a bit silly, like organize 100 different events and overwhelm people with nonsense and things. But because this thing is a one-off, I have been thinking for quite some time about outreaching to Big Brother watch people. So I thought they plan to be there for a couple of days, which is quite ambitious because they probably need a lot of people to do that. I was thinking, but is it dependent on how many people will be there tomorrow morning and tomorrow in the afternoon in front of Parliament? I mean, we can talk tomorrow, and if with the people coming, if they want to do something else on Friday, which will be the second day of this experiment. So what I was thinking was not terribly ambitious, because the Big Brother Watch talk about today 10 to 6 presence, leafleting and stuff. I was thinking about something a lot more realistic. I've been there for a couple of hours, and on the second day, which is Friday, maybe 2 to 4 in the afternoon, once we know the location, and then then will give us plenty of opportunity to talk with members of the public, to leaflet, to talk about facial recognition, and to talk about targeting. And also, possibly, even more importantly, possibly, to outreach to these Big Brother watch people and try to talk with them about what they are doing, what we are doing, and see if there's a way of understanding each other, or to explain target to them in a way which can make sense to them. But anyway, I don't want to commit myself, because otherwise it becomes silly. I want to organize 100 events and no one is turning up or something. So I don't know about Friday. Let's see how it goes tomorrow. Let's see how many people turn up tomorrow, if there's any decent turnout and stuff. And then maybe we can discuss it actually tomorrow, with the people coming tomorrow, if they want again to do something, maybe for a couple of hours on Friday. It's just everything. Oh, you're silly, organizing all this stuff, which within 3 days or that. But it's because this is quite a special thing, which is an opportunity. The Big Brother Watch is doing this protest, And so this stuff come up once upon in a while or something, and it would be maybe regrettable to lose the opportunity to have a chance to talk to them, to see if they understand what's happening to us, etc., etc. So that is a one-off opportunity which we would like a pity to miss. So, but let's focus on tomorrow, and then and then see for Friday. We may try to do it if enough people are interested, or we may forget about it, or we may try to reach out to these people of Big Brother watching on a different occasion in the future. So I don't want to be silly like, oh, I want to organize 100 different things in a few days, and then no one is coming or something. So Friday it remain open. Let's see how it goes tomorrow, and then maybe. See what we want to do on Friday, or if we want to forget about it or leave it or whatever. So yeah, so I think it's organization like Big Brother Watches is possibly the kind of organization you want to reach out to. So so much for activism, and then there's so many things going on at the moment. I would like to talk about like. The TI community, what's happening, and some basic idea like in the TI community where there's always some kind of big initiative going on, and people say, oh, we're going to crack it, and then targeting soon and stuff, and I often target individuals. The individual experience of targeting individuals is quite different, because they probably they even never met any other targeted person in the flesh, and they never they're pretty isolated. They see that actually their targeting, instead of getting better, is getting more worse all the time and more unbearable all the time. So I think my emphasis is let's explore a possible avenue, like a big initiative, conferences, international days. That's all fantastic stuff, which is absolutely necessary, because But I would advise people to focus very much on the local. Try to find people try to put in the effort to find where your fellow local targeting individuals are, then try to build friendship and get together, and every avenue is worth exploring in terms of raising awareness. I don't think this thing is going to end in my lifetime, for instance, but I'm pretty positive. But if it's going to be honest, it's going to end pretty soon, because this stuff is mainly done by the deep state. The deep state is totally out of control at the moment. Might is right. They do what they want, increasingly in a brazen and totally disregarding. In terms of the regime change, all the stealing money from the poor to give it to the rich, all the horrific things they're doing. It doesn't look like they're going to stop anytime soon. The fact that the way they're going about it, is probably going to bring accelerate their own demise reasonably soon. So they probably digging their own grave into way this complete completely into way they are disregarding international treaty covenants which country have been signing. Might is right, disregarding national law, disregarding common law, disregarding natural law. So it's going to accelerate the time when they will be going to be all the house of cards is going to collapse. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to end in my lifetime. So I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. So, I think I came to the little technical thing, which I just realized my laptop is not charging properly for some reason, and so that's probably better now. My advice to target individuals, do many things. because we need to have a presence on any avenue of activism, international event, conferences, everything is totally, absolutely needed, 300%. But also maybe try to focus a bit more energy in operating at the local level, finding other TI in your local area and building friendship and trust and a communication, meeting it, and maybe from there moving to activism. That's all I can say. And then there is also, a lot of things going on at the moment, which is something there are actually a huge amount of things I would like to talk about. But I don't know if I have the time and the energy, and well, there's a lot of the yellow vest in France. That's another. I'm looking at my Facebook page, where Yellow Vest in France, they have been declaring a general strike for starting on February the 5th, which, let me check exactly when that is. February the 5th, sorry, is next Tuesday. Yeah, so they've been organizing this general strike. It is supposed to be an ongoing general strike. They wanted to bring France to a standstill, basically. And these people are they're really angry. They mean business, and I suspect that there's not, a lot of these people, they're not so much an ideological thing with them. They can just put food on the table, basically. So, which is a situation which is an increased number of people in this country, in France, in many European countries, in the United States, it's their daily experience. They can put food on the table. So that's wise. And we know that since 2008, basically, we don't know entirely. We can be entirely sure if they on 2008 they collapsed the economy on purpose. We know that the Federal Reserve, when they knew for a long time of the situation of Lehman Brothers, that they were dragging their feet for months. So, they're not stupid, so they noticed go. They were not taking any action. So we don't know if they collapsed the economy on purpose, but what we do know is that since 2008, the wealth of the richest in society has been increasing threefold. Okay? Threefold. So we don't know if they did they collapse the economy on purpose in 2008, but they certainly profited from the collapse of the economy, because they, think how many years it took them to get to that point they were in 2008, and in just 10 years they increased their wealth threefold. We have this figure that 26 people in 8 people in the US, they own as much as 50% of the population. The same thing applied to the global population, and maybe 26 people, own as much as the half of the world population. So we have this crazy stuff going on and getting worse every day, with decimation of public services, pushing an increasing number of people deliberately into poverty, a lot of poverty wages, poverty jobs. So it's pretty horrific. And another thing which is worth a look is apparently now it's been finally admitted that new tech can be invoices directly into your head. So, but I think actually the thing about voice to skull and inducing auditory hallucination using different media and technical means. I think actually I'm inclined to believe that I've been reading a lot about this subject. I think inclined to think that there is not just it's one of the conclusive experiment when they say now new tech can be invoiced directly into your head, and then we knew from the 70s that they can use microwave to the Frey effect. That they can use microwave to start making originating noises and various auditory hallucination into people's head, inside people's head, and clicks and things. So that was it was demonstrated by since the 70s through the Frey effect. I personally believe, I'm going to go out on a limb on this one. I personally believe that a lot of the people, you know, which are over the quite a substantial number of people over time have been diagnosed often in total bad faith as paranoid schizophrenic, hearing voices. Paranoid schizophrenic, they've been used as guinea pig to test these kind of technologies. So the psychiatry is a barbaric institution, which is modern psychiatry is only 100 years old. So it's not that much older than the Nazi experiment or the MK Ultra experiment. So I think it's basically psychiatry and the Nazi experiment and the MK Ultra experiment is they all totally entwined together. It's difficult to know where one ended, the other one began, because it's all just one big abomination. So it's quite interesting because a few years ago I was at the watching a documentary at King College on the Strand, I think. King. Basically, they were showing this document about what's happening in the U.S. supermax prisons. They say that where people are kept in total 24/7 isolation for months and months and months, and they were saying that after usually up to 50% of the people there in these kind of institutions, after some 6 weeks of being kept in total isolation, they start hearing voices. They they were explaining like some kind of psychobabble on psychiatric mambo jumbo or something. The effect of isolation. I suspect all these people, quite a substantial number of these victims in these prisons have been used as guinea pig to test what in our community we call voice to skull technology. In actual fact, I lost my train of thought in this technology. Oh God, what they were going to say? Well, people, the people. Anyway, as I was saying that people are being. Because that's what I was going to say. Because all this horrific technology, from military technology to quasi-military technology that they want to testing on us, and basically testing is an essential part of the developing the technology. Without the testing, there wouldn't be any technology. So it's all part of the unspeakable stuff going on all over the world at the moment. It's been going on for many decades and maybe for centuries. So basically then the situation in Venezuela, and a lot of people which I need to talk about, because when they I find that most of the activity of the establishment, the deep state and the intelligence community, I find totally repulsive and disgusting. But when what I find really upsetting when they engage in things like regime change or a new war destroying a country. I mean, I find everything they do, I find totally repulsive and disgusting and offensive. But what is get me really upset is things like the Iraq War and the bombing Libya back into the Middle Ages, and what filling Syria with 100,000 NATO terrorists to destroy the country. So that's what really get me going. I think Ukraine is, a coup d'etat, destroying the country, because if you look at Ukraine now, it's a fairly, at the time of they organized their abomination there. I mean, in Kiev. I mean, Ukraine was a reasonably prosperous, a viable country. Now, is a totally failed country. Then the same thing they did to former Yugoslavia. Now Kosovo, it's a Kosovo that has been a protectorate of the United States, and the EU is they have a kind of unemployment figure close to 100%. So I mean, it's just a glorified like Kosovo. It's just a glorified. Well, it's the drug dealing. No offense to Kosovars, but I mean. We need to speak the truth like from time to time. And Kosovo is just a drug dealing mafia state, but it's also like some sort of like I think one of the biggest one of the big U.S. military bases in the world. So it's like a big aircraft carrier for the United States, and unemployment is close to 100%. But there is other way to making money than drug dealing, prostitution, and the rest of it. Which are prostitution, obviously, with the American base is quite an excellent opportunity for the locals. So this economy moving in mysterious way. But so so what's happening now in Venezuela? I find really upsetting because we have been bombarded by the mainstream media with a tsunami of lies, and misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda. And then most people, who don't know any better, on the basis of this old garbage, they've been fed by like the BBC, Sky News, and it's quite interesting because last night I was watching this. The Sky News took upon themselves to go interview in this crypt, this, Juan Guaido, which is all of a sudden decided that he's the new president of Venezuela. So, that's the way they decided to go interview him, ask him a lot of loaded questions about the situation in Venezuela. So basically, the most ordinary people, they're not malicious, but they've been fed all this tsunami of lies and misinformation, disinformation, propaganda by the like of the BBC, Sky News, and then all the Guardian, the Telegraph, the Daily Mail, even to a degree the Daily Mirror, and all the rest of the toilet paper. And then on the basis of the information they receive, because it's all based on lies, they think, actually, the people there are suffering, it would be quite a good idea. Most people are against the government anyway. It's all bullshit. And so it would be a good idea to actually to sort out the situation and change it, So, and then let me have a look. Then there was a very interesting article which I came across the other day. I would like to read you little bits and pieces, which basically say some fact about Venezuela, not the bullshit we get from mainstream media, but facts. I don't know if I can find the article. I don't know if it's still on my timeline because a strange thing happened nowadays. But see if I can find it. So basically, the article. The title of the article from Popular Resistance.org. Venezuela: what activists need to know about the U.S.-led coup. It's all about facts. They don't express opinion. They counter the tsunami of bullshit people are getting from, excuse my French, people are getting from the media, mainstream media, and so fact number one, right? Truth. President Nicolas Maduro is the legitimate president. So as at the last presidential election, Maduro won by 60% of the vote, right? And there was in the country hundreds of international observers from all kinds of different countries. They were all saying the same identical thing. This election was fair and square. There has not been any rigging or anything, including former U.S. President Jimmy Carter, which was there as an observer, and he said, no, not that was perfectly fair and square. Jimmy Carter is not the, Jimmy Carter is not a bleeding out liberal. Jimmy Carter, is a member of the Trilateral Commission. Under Jimmy Carter, they engineered this thing in Afghanistan radicalized in the country to destroy the whole Soviet Union. So I mean, it's not a bleeding out liberal, but he's saying the election was totally fair and square. He was there as an observer. He's saying the election when President Maduro was elected was perfectly fair and square. Second truth, the economic crisis caused by outside intervention, internal sabotage, and decline in oil prices. So, because you need to understand all these Ziocons in Washington, oops, I said that, Ziocons, they're not just working in isolation, they're completely working together with all the industrialists, all the industrialists in Venezuela. They're all against the government. So if you think of all the business people, all the industry being against the government, they have thousands of ways of sabotaging the economy, making sure that when you go to a shop there is nothing on the shelves. For them, it's like that. But it's not just that. It's not just industrialists. All the media baron we control maybe 95% of the press in Venezuela. They're all against the president, and they all the time they savaging the government and even calling for the assassination of Nicolas Maduro. And then people in the White House say, oh, it's a dictatorship. It's a dictatorship. There is no freedom of press. There is no freedom of press. And you have 95% of all the press is owned by these press barons, which are totally dead against Maduro, and that they even called for his assassination. So then interview all these prostitutes. They go around telling us, oh, it's a dictatorship, there is no freedom of the press whatsoever. Right. Second truth. Number three, let's get to number three. Truth number three. Oh, okay. Just a second. I think I missed it. Truth number three. Okay. The opposition is violent, not... the opposition is violent, not the Maduro government. Yeah, because, I suspect that some of these thugs in Venezuela, they're some of the same people that, we saw in Syria, we saw in Ukraine, we saw in former Yugoslavia. Because most of the people are local, yeah, I give you that, most of the people are local, but some of the ringleaders, some of the people training people in, urban guerrilla and causing trouble and rioting, they moved them, a small number that they just moved them from country to country, you see. And in former Yugoslavia, there was this organization called Canvas, which was training all these peaceful protesters, in inverted comma, and then I think they're also training some of the thugs into Maidan. So and then as I say, people, we have evidence. There has been an article written about the fact that in Ukraine, some of these Nazis, they're fighting side by side when they're murdering people in eastern Ukraine of ethnic Russian in eastern Ukraine. They're fighting side by side with some ISIS people from Chechnya. And you may think like, the ideology of these Nazis, the ideology of these ISIS people from Chechnya is quite somewhat different. So you may wonder, how can they possibly fight together, murdering Russian, ethnic Russian in eastern Ukraine? But if you consider all these people are working for the same people, most of these people are just mercenaries working for the same people. If you realize that most of these scum are just lumpen proletariat was called in the old days. But if you realize that all these people are all working for the same criminals, what we may want to call the terror financial banking cartel or something, then you realize that they're no longer surprised that you get the Ukrainian Nazis and the ISIS people from the Chechnya fighting side by side, or rather murdering ethnic Russian in eastern Ukraine side by side. So, okay, so the opposition is violent, not the Maduro government. yeah, the Maduro government is been trying to is under siege by in many different way and sanction another thing people don't know is that there is many billion of Venezuelan money which is being frozen abroad. So they don't have access to all these billions. They do, they usually, they froze all these assets, and then after a while, the bankers, they pocket them. So, like, for instance, when they frozen all the Libya government, the Gaddafi assets in Europe, and then now the current government in Libya, which is not just one, but there are three or four current governments in Libya, they try desperate to get this money because they desperately need the money because you see when NATO bombed Libya to protect the peaceful protesters, what they actually did, they destroyed the entire infrastructure of the country. So now all these different 4 or 5 governments at the moment fighting each other in Libya, they desperately try to get back some of the frozen money from Europe, but they don't want to know because if you have some money, it's nicer to hold on to the money than to give it back. If you steal some money, obviously you prefer to hold on to the money than to give it back. So. Let's move to number 4 about what's happening in Venezuela. Another truth is that the National Assembly acted in violation of law as he is in contempt of court. Yeah, this guy Guaido, Juan Guaido. And then fifth, there's a nice picture of my Facebook friend Medea Benjamin that is protesting about the coup in Venezuela. That's quite nice. And let's see if I can get to truth number 5. Where is it? Yeah, basically that's the timeline of the coup in Venezuela. If I can find it again. Timeline of the coup in Venezuela. So basically, they've been destroying the country for years. 95% of the press owned by these press barons opposed to the government. They've been, spreading poison for decades now. And then you have these people like Guaido, which are all the time on the telephone to the CIA, to Washington D.C., to the different U.S. agencies, and this geezer they appointed as envoy for like some kind of envoy to see if I can remember the name of this individual, which they've been trying to harm Venezuelan people since Chavez became president, for many decades, and they do unspeakable thing, sanction, very severe sanction, and the industrialists making sure that there is not the shops are empty, the press baron spreading any amount of poison and disseminating any amount of lies of poison amongst the population. So it's it's interesting. This guy that the Trump administration has been appointing as I think I can find his name, Elliot something, is supposed to be like the guy who's going to take care of Venezuela, and some sort of I think the official is envoy to Venezuela or something. That basically is the job to taking over the country on behalf of Washington Zycon, and this guy is a guy called Elliot Abrams, and this guy was involved with so many horrific things in the past, and included the Iran's Contra scandal. He supported the U.S. big death squad in Guatemala and Salvador. Play a key role in the Reagan administration support for the murder of Contras in Nicaragua. Then he gave approval for the US-backed coup in Venezuela in 2002 when Hugo Chavez was arrested. It was very close thing, but in the end he managed to free himself and to, you know, reassert the democratic elected government of Venezuela. So yeah, so you know, and but yeah, so I couldn't help talking about Venezuela because I find everything these people do, I find it revolting and disgusting and offensive. But when they set out to destroy a country like they did with Iran and Iraq and Libya and former Yugoslavia and Syria and Ukraine. Sudan, and then the list can go on, and you know, I find it really upsetting, and that what they're doing now to Venezuela, they don't care a jot about the fact that you know, apart from everything else, whatever you may think of Venezuela, is a country which is deeply divided, right? I personally, honestly believe that the majority of the population is actually supporting the government. But then you get a number of thugs, which are very proactive in causing trouble, and they look like many of them, but they're just evil. It's not that many of them, they're totally evil, and so they may to do a lot of damage, even if their number may be relatively small. Yeah, so they know that also they're not stupid in Washington D.C., so they know that what is likely to come out of the situation is like a bloody civil war. They don't give a shit, obviously, you know. I mean, they've been like, you know, presiding over the total destruction of Iraq, of Libya, of Ukraine, and Syria, and former Yugoslavia, so they can possibly care less about causing the death of hundreds of thousands of people. So it's all very upsetting. And the media, you know, their role in all this saga is totally despicable and disgusting. And I was watching last night about Sky News a bit because I mainly try to watch Russia Today because it's you know, there's a bit more integrity there. But some of the reporting of BBC News and Sky News I find quite offensive and they get me really angry, so it get me upset. So I try to, in the evening, I try to relax a bit. But at the moment, I try to watch a bit of Sky News to find, you know, you know, a bit more detailed information about what's going on with Brexit and what is going on in the House of Parliament, etc. And you know, if you look at the BBC and Sky, I mean, they're both total 100% propaganda. Sky News, the BBC News, but at least the thing to be said about Sky News, which I prefer to watch compared to the BBC, that at least they have decent editorial standards. You know, I mean, if you look at the BBC that they're covering, they're just all over the place. It's pathetic. So I mean, so usually if you try to get a bit more information about what's happening in this country, I try to watch, you know. Sky News, because they're totally evil, it is total propaganda, but at least they have some kind of decent editorial standard, and so I mean, at least they manage to keep their stuff together. So I was watching, for maybe 1 hour, watching Sky News, allegedly covering what is going on in the world. So, and this coverage was including that. So at the time when we are getting all this stuff happening in Venezuela, they completely destroy Yemen. They do this special service of quarter of an hour about this child or at least young men soldiers in Sudan. You know, and you can commiserate about these young people that are forced to into, you know, very young into you know, wearing a uniform, carrying guns and killing people. These young people, by the way, they are probably responsible for a lot of murders and rapes and stuff. Well, so there was all this kind of like, you know, oh, we care so much about human rights, we care so much about, so we tell you what's happening with these young people in Sudan, which have been forced to very young to join the rebels or the government or whatever and stuff, you know. So, and then you wonder what is the ethos of this kind of prostitute. I think the ethos. And there was not a single word about, you know, the cholera epidemic in Yemen, which is like killing thousands of people, and the famine in Yemen, which is killing thousands of people, the fact that the bombing is still going on, but they're bombing hospitals whilst everyone is dying and stuff like flies and things. Not a single word. So I think I sat back and I started thinking, like, well, what is exactly that these people are trying to do? These prostitutes. I think what is saying to me that the common denominator of what they're trying to do, they try like to cover emotional issues, or at least they try to make them emotional anyway, like the young soldiers in Sudan. The way they cover the stuff is just to convey the message. We care deeply about humanity and human rights, yeah? To distract people's attention about what is really happening in countries like Sudan or other places. So they serve you this kind of fake concern. So they do the 50 minutes what's happening in Sudan, or maybe what's happening in India in certain area, or like to see, oh, we care so much about humanity, human rights, completely out of context. So don't worry, if something bad happening in the world, we're going to let you know. We are very concerned about human rights and things. And then they don't say a single word about that. They studiously avoid to report anything about what's happening in Venezuela. Well, truthfully, reporting truthfully. Anyway, they show all these pictures, these thugs like throwing a stone and Molotov cocktail at the police. But there's not a single jot of truth in what they're reporting. And then another thing I noticed on the same this hour I spent watching in fascination about Sky News. They were reporting something else. They were reporting about Zimbabwe, where allegedly there has been some arrest, and the police had been acting with, allegedly, according to them, and with extreme brutality in repressing the unrest. And and then I started to wonder, like, because they keep showing this, like, this footage of a protester being handcuffed, and protesting about his handcuff, like probably saying something like, very painful, can you free me from the handcuff? And then there is a police officer slapping him in the face quite gently. I mean, and then they keeping showing this picture over and over again. And that was supposed to demonstrate that the police in Zimbabwe was extremely guilty of instances of extreme brutality. Yeah. And then I was thinking about all the footage of the police brutality in France. Shown by RT, which is that was not just a gentle slap on the face of a protester. That was like, people losing their eyes and getting life-changing injuries and stuff. And that is not completely avoided or unreported by mainstream media. And that I wonder, like, may that have something to do with the fact that in Zimbabwe the government for decades have been like pursuing a policy of trying to prevent the country from being completely plundered by European country, by the United States, by the bankers. So you get all the brutality of the police in France is. Then we get Macron, which is accusing Maduro of repression, of course. But yeah, that's quite quite surreal. But so you get this, like, they showing over and over this picture of a police officer slapping a protester in the face quite gently, and then they try to avoid as much as possible to show what's happening in France. And so so they show concern about what's happening in Zimbabwe, allegedly, I think, in my personal opinion, because the Zimbabwe government is trying to, for many decades, try to prevent the country from being plundered by the Western banker and the Western corporation. I mean, at least they try to do something to protect the interest of the local population. So so which is what is happening in Venezuela. The Maduro government, if, in the the Chavez government before, they basically they really you know the real fault is that for many decades, instead of opening up the country to become some kind of brothel for the West, when they thought they can use it to deal drugs, deal the human organs, prostitution, and money laundering, and you name it, all the criminals. So to open up the country to become like a big brothel for the Western bankers, for the Western government, they have been trying to wherever possible to protect the local population, but this kind of carnage and capitalist carnage. So that seems to be the fault. So you have countries like Saudi Arabia, which is, I mean, if the stuff they do to their own people, let alone to the Yemenis, is mind blowing. But it seems to be perfectly right, completely unreported. Like if something happened in countries like Zimbabwe or Venezuela, where the government for years have been trying to protect the local population from being completely plundered and pushed into virtual or actual prostitution, selling people organs, dealing drugs, all the stuff they do, and they like to do, promoting pedophilia, you name it. So if they get dealing with countries which try at least to give their local population, like Zimbabwe and Venezuela, some protection, but it is, capitalist carnage, immediately, so you get the police officer in Zimbabwe slapping a protester, they keep showing it over and over all evening. That's supposed to be a proof of the Zimbabwean government brutality, whilst the carpet bombing of Yemen, which has been going on for a few years now, we have the biggest cholera epidemic in history. We have probably 19 million people without enough food to eat, and they keep bombing, hospital and school and sewage treatment facility and power station and gas station, everything. They try to push the country back into the Middle Ages. The Yemen is already one of the poorest countries in the world, by the way. So that's right. That is mainly, if they can find a way of not reporting that, they avoid reporting that. But the little slap on a protester in Zimbabwe, or these tags, the tags in Venezuela, that is represent the abomination which need to be addressed. And okay, so that's all for tonight. I talk about some of the things I wanted to talk about, a lot of the things I wanted to talk about, so I didn't have time to talk about. But if you are in any way interested, you can join the next one, which is going to be in the next few days, when I'm going to talk about many other things. It will be great if tomorrow we can get a few people in front of Parliament, because I think this thing abstraction, because it's been denigrated quite widely. I mean, this thing, a lot of people have been telling me, what have you been achieving? What we have been achieving with this protest in front of Parliament. What we have been achieving is that, similarly to what I did in outreach into a lot of, fellow political activists in London. What we have been achieving is that now, we go from a situation with political activists or member of Parliament where targeting was completely off the radar, completely, to a situation where, a lot of political activists, a lot of members of Parliament, now they know what we are saying. That's not to say that they're supporting us, that's not to say that they are believing us or endorsing what we are saying, but at least they know. There's quite a number of people all saying the same identical things, and they have some pretty good idea what these people are saying. Yeah, so they're trying to knock what they've been doing in London, or what we have been doing in London. So what have you been achieving? What do you expect? What do you expect? We have a deep state completely out of control. So you think someone can just, snap his fingers and it's going to stop. No, it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop in my lifetime. But we've been achieving quite a lot. And that, would be nice if a few people we can get really a good protest tomorrow outside Parliament. And that's all for now. And many of the things I did not have time to talk about tonight, I will try to talk about in the future. So that's all for tonight. I may have another one to let people know what happened tomorrow. And that's all for now. I wish everyone the best and a peaceful evening, etc., etc. All the best to everyone. You know.